just, she painted all these trees. This is someone in their sane mind. You painted a forest and you're living in a gingerbread house at 80 years old. This is nuts.
Eat, drink,
there you go.
and be merry.
Hello, America, FBI and CIA agents and fellow cult members. Welcome to DeBrava Reacts. We're going to call today's reaction the curious case of E. Jean Carroll. Is she the crazy cat lady in the woods or a victim of the Donald's cat scratch fever? Now, today's show is going to be a bit of a deep dive into this case to get a sense of who E. Jean Carroll is, her character, and the media's handling of this case. Now, let's take a look at the first clip we have here of E. Jean Carroll on Anderson Cooper's show back in 2019. Let's get into it.
I want to begin just by asking you about the latest thing that the president has said just moments, a short time ago. He gave an interview to The Hill. He said, I'll say it with great respect. Number one, she's not my type. Number two, it never happened. It never happened, okay?
I love that. I am so glad I am not his type. I am so glad.
Now, that's a strange reaction for somebody who has claimed that President Trump raped her. I love that. I love that I'm not his. I mean, very strange. Strange bird here.
This was 20 years ago, and I probably was, at that moment, in that 5 minutes, the most attractive woman in Bergdorf's in that one bit of time.
And you think that's what it was about for him?
I don't know what it was about. Anderson, we were having a high old time. You remember Donald Trump, hail fellow, well met, walking up and down the streets of New York.
First of all, hold on. And I'll bring this back a bit, okay? She just said 20 years ago, right? 20 years ago, Donald Trump was still Donald Trump. If Donald Trump raped you in Bergdorf's because you were, according to yourself, the most beautiful woman, attractive woman in there at the time, okay, bold statement there, why would you not report it then? Why are all of these cases 20, 30, I mean, years and years later where you can't even, how could you even remember exactly what happened 20 years ago and be this, like, I don't know. Let's go.
A high old time. You remember Donald Trump, hail fellow, well met, walking up and down the streets of New York, greeting everybody. Everybody liked him.
You're talking about 1995,
96. He was Shakespearean. He was great. You'd love to see him on the street. So when we met in Bergdorf's and he said, help me, advise me to find a president, I was delighted. I was thrilled. I thought, this is hilarious.
I'm wondering, the statement that he said, which he's just made, which is, she's not my type, number one, that was the number one thing.
I love that I'm not his type.
He has said that previously. There was a woman, Jessica Leeds, who came forward, and he said, I think we actually have the tape of what he said, and it echoes similar language. Let's just play what he said about Jessica Leeds in front of a crowd.
When you looked at that horrible woman last night, you said, I don't think so. I don't think so. She would not be my first choice, that I can tell you. Man. You don't know. That would not be my first choice.
Hold on. You got to appreciate President Trump's humor. You really do. With everything that they're putting him through, with everything he's going through, he is awfully funny.
Called Miss Universe fat. Miss Piggy, I think he called her. Miss Universe, one of the most beautiful women in the solar system.
Let me bring this back.
Miss Piggy, I think he called her.
So she's saying that he called Miss Universe fat. All right, let's see.
My first choice.
He also called Miss Universe fat.
What does that have to do with anything? What does him calling Miss Universe, if he did call her fat, who cares? What does it have to do with you being raped, in 1990, whatever, in Bergdorf Goodman's in a dressing room? What does it have to do with anything? Why can no one have an opinion today? So what if this one's fat or this one feels that this person's ugly? What does it have to do with anything?
think he called her. Miss Universe, one of the most beautiful women in the solar system, and he called her fat.
The other thing that he said is that you are totally lying. He said, again, in this interview, new interview, he said, totally lying. I don't know anything about her. I know nothing about this woman. I know nothing about her. She is. It's just a terrible thing that people can make statements like that.
He's denied all 15 women who've come forward. He denies, he turns it around, he threatens, and he attacks.
Let's talk about...
Whoa, he denies, he turns it around, he threatens, and he attacks. So you're not allowed to defend yourself? Just saying. How is him defending himself and saying, it's not true, I didn't do that? How is that attacking and threatening someone?
What you say happened, because obviously the details of it all matter. And this is, I should point out, just part of, this is one person you talk about in your book. This is not a book about Donald Trump. This is not, there's not Donald Trump on the cover. This is about your life. And
we don't even mention his name. I mentioned his name once in the book. Once.
So you were in, you say you were in Bergdorf Goodman.
I was coming out of Bergdorf's.
Which was a store I heard you liked a lot.
It's a posh and cozy.
Your whole face lights up when you talk about Bergdorf.
I was just there today. Okay. I just loved it. So I was coming out, and he was coming in. He was standing out, and he put his hand like this. So I did not go through the revolving door. He came in. He said, hey, you're that advice lady. And I said, hey, you're that real estate tycoon. He said, come advise me. I want to buy a present. I said, oh, for who? He said, for a girl. So I was enchanted. It was such a great moment. So how about the handbags? Oh, no, he doesn't want a handbag. Well, how about a hat? So he strolls to that.
And had you met him prior to that?
Just once, briefly. There's a picture.
That's where the photo of with
my ex-husband and he with his ex-wife. A very nice. It's a very nice.
Which, by the way, he had said he's never even met you previously. Obviously, the picture which we have,
Well, first of all, Anderson, hold on. Donald Trump is extremely famous. Do you know how many pictures he takes with people? That doesn't mean he knows you, remembers you, or you met him. You took a photo with him. It's New York City.
Tells a different story.
So we went to the hats, and he immediately grabbed a fur hat, of course. And I said, oh, you can't put a dead animal on your head. And then I found out later, of course, all of his women wear those fur hats. Ivanka, you've seen pictures. They all wear, okay. So he asked, I said, how old is the young lady? And he said, how old are you? And I said, 52. And he said, you're so old.
He said that?
Wait a minute. Okay, so she was 52. Okay.
And shortly after that, he said, I know, lingerie. Or he could have said underwear. And so we went up the escalator. We went to the lingerie department. It was empty. There was nobody there. There was nobody on the whole floor, frankly. I think you...
Wait a minute. Bergdorf Goodman's. You know, I live in Manhattan. I've been there, obviously. Everyone goes there. Even tourists go there just to see what it is. Nobody was on the lingerie floor in Bergdorf's. Now, that is not believable. You're talking about a very high-end store. You know, you're talking about a sock for $400. There was no one on the lingerie floor. I've never been in Bergdorf's and seen no one around. First of all, there's security guards everywhere. Forget about people helping you. It's a high-end store. Everywhere you look, there's someone, miss, can I help you? Is there anything I can get? What are you talking about? Alone in Bergdorf's. Do you know how big Bergdorf's is? Look it up if you haven't seen it.
Suits and crews wear, and the store was not populated at the time. Nobody was there on the counter.
That's going to sound strange to people that nobody was in the...
Because Bergdorf's is the greatest store on the earth. They take care of whatever you want, they're there. If you're thirsty, they'll bring you water, they'll get you whatever, they'll call all over the country to get whatever you want.
Wait, which is exactly what I'm saying. Why what she's saying makes no sense. It's the greatest store on earth, right? How is no one there to assist you, to help you, to get you your water? Where is everyone? Not a single soul but her and President Trump. Okay.
It was a moment in time, nobody was there. Plus, a dressing room door was open, which is very unusual because usually they're locked, and the attendant comes and locks it, escorts you in. It's okay. So
he said lingerie because he said he wanted you to help him pick out some lingerie.
Well, it can't, because he was not having it with the hats.
Okay.
The hats were, okay. So then we went up. He was going to get some lingerie. And I am just like, oh, well, I can dine out forever on this story. We're going to go get lingerie.
You say you go up to the lingerie department and no one is around.
And there are 2 or 3 boxes on the counter. The fancy, remember the old-fashioned lingerie boxes, and a filmy see-through bodysuit in lilac gray. And he snatches it up and he says, go try this on. I said, you try it on. He said, no, it looks like it fits you. I said, it goes with your eyes. He said, no, go put this on. And Anderson...
So at this point, you're saying it's a friendly... Joshing.
I used to be a writer at Saturday Night Live. I see an entire sketch.
Oh, she was a writer at Saturday Night Live. Interesting.
Of making Donald Trump put this filmy thing over his pants. That is what I'm thinking. I am not thinking, I think it's, I was laughing as I said it. He said, well, you know, he went like this, and I walked in stupidly.
So for you, this was kind of a New York moment? Like one of those
best just like the best New York. Donald Trump is going to put on a filmy bodysuit. It's like, oh, I couldn't.
First of all, wait a minute. When did she indicate that Donald Trump was actually putting it on? She's very confused.
So let's go in the dressing room. I thought, yeah, I'm going to make him put pants on. Walked in, and the minute I was in there, he shut the door and pushed me up against the wall and banged my head on the wall and kissed me. It was so shocking. I couldn't, of course, I started laughing again because...
You started laughing?
Of course.
Why? Why, of course?
Because
I'm laughing too, by the way.
It was a way of, if it was at all erotic in his part, it would, if a man is laughed at, it usually will make him, and he put his shoulder against me to hold me against the wall. And at that point, I realized that I was in a...
Put his shoulder against me. None of this makes sense. It sounds more like a skit that she was trying to write as a writer for an episode of Saturday Night Live. Let's do the math. Bergdorf's. Nobody's in the store. Nobody's on the floor. And a dressing room is unlocked. Those are 2 very improbable circumstances, right? Donald Trump just snatches something in a package and tells her to go try it on. And so you're on a floor with Donald Trump and you go into a dressing room with him. I've never walked in a dressing room with a man. Okay? 0 chance. None of this makes sense. It sounds like a skit, actually, on Saturday Night Live.
Very difficult situation.
Did he say anything?
No. No. It was just like, we're going to do this thing. We're just so hot for each other. Why would I even try to think what he was thinking? Anyway, so he pushed me, held me with his shoulder, and I was wearing a coat dress and tights, and he pulled down the tights. And so that's
he pulled it with both hands, with one hand?
One. And that was when it turned serious. I realized that this was a fight. And even though I can talk about it now and put words to it, at the time the adrenaline is pouring through me and all I want to do is, right.
How would you describe, what were you?
Wait a minute. So you're in a department store, the largest department store in New York City. You end up somehow in a dressing room with Donald Trump. He pushes you, bangs your head, does all this stuff, and you don't scream at the top of your lungs?
Surprised, fighting. Right. Were you scared? Were you angry?
I was too panicked to be scared.
Too panicked to be scared, okay.
You know.
You said adrenaline was pumping.
I assume it was, because I got strong enough. He's 6'3", apparently. I've looked it up. I was about 6'1" in the massive heels I was wearing. And so we were even, almost even in height. And down go the tights. And it was against my will. And it hurt. And it was a fight.
And this is not a question I would normally ask, and if you don't want to answer, I totally understand. But given the prior accusations, which have all been of forms of assault or harassment, you're saying there was actual penetration?
Yes.
Did you, which puts it into a different category of any of the other women who have come forward. I think that is.
I'm sorry, this is not believable. This is not believable. She must be related to Lady Gaga.
Definition of one definition.
That's the definition. Yes.
Okay, my thoughts on that. You already kind of get where I'm at. She's completely unbelievable, which is what a lot of people online and are saying, okay? Which is why President Trump wasn't charged with rape, okay? Let's check out the next clip. This is a very interesting woman, a writer on Saturday Night Live. You took a photo with him, which in her mind constitutes meeting him, one of the most famous people in the world, even at that time. And you end up in a dressing room with him with no one there on the floor in Bergdorf Goodman's, where he pushes you in the dressing room, closes the door, and pulls your tights down and penetrates you. Not believable. Okay, so we're going to take a look at another clip. This is Katie Fang on MSNBC, and we're going to see how the media is covering this case. And remember, this is current right now.
And that is where we start today with former acting U.S. Solicitor General Neil Katyal. And with me at the table, New York Times editorial board member Mara Gay and MSNBC host and legal analyst Katie Fang is back. Katie, let's start with you. Difficult to get through that testimony from Carroll, so emotional, so clear, the price she has paid for all of this?
I think people need to realize the confrontation in a courtroom setting from the victim of rape, which is E. Jean Carroll. And in the interest of full disclosure, I am friends with E. Jean Carroll. We have been friends.
Whoa, she's friends with E. Jean Carroll? Interesting. Pretty biased.
For a while, but it doesn't color my legal analysis. I prosecuted sexual battery cases as a prosecutor. The confrontation...
How does that not color her analysis? You just got through saying that you're friends with E. Jean Carroll, but you're making an analysis on the case? That's extremely biased. She should have removed herself from this episode or whatever it is. You don't make commentary on something from a legal perspective when you're friends with the person.
The victim of a rape and her rapist is always going to be a powerfully emotional and just incredibly traumatizing one.
Hold on. The victim of...
Color my legal analysis. I prosecuted sexual battery cases as a prosecutor. The confrontation between the victim of a rape and her rapist.
Donald Trump was not convicted of rape. She's a liar, okay? Actually, this is from the court records. It says here, Mr. Trump raped Mrs. Carroll. No, this is from the jury, okay? This is from the jury. E. Jean Carroll, plaintiff against Donald J. Trump, defendant, okay? Did Ms. Carroll prove the evidence that Mr. Trump raped Mrs. Carroll? No. No, the answer is no.
Was going to be a powerfully emotional and just incredibly traumatizing one. And the trauma is really the word that we need to focus on here, because number one, this isn't a criminal case, right? This is a civil case, but it's the same emotions that are involved. And we've talked as prosecutors about re-traumatizing a victim of sexual assault, because every time they have to tell their stories, it's hard and you relive it over and over again. In this instance, when Jean Carroll has been trying to tell her story.
Hold on. First of all, she's talking about being traumatized, okay? First of all, she's saying a rape victim, which she is clearly not. The jury made that ruling. We just finished watching a clip from 2019 of Jean Carroll on the Anderson Cooper show. She does not seem traumatized by any means at all. She's laughing, she's giggling. It's almost like a joke. She's talking about comparing it to an episode on Saturday Night Live as she was a writer there. It's kind of absurd, actually, because you're talking about somebody's life here. I don't find that funny at all.
It has just been interrupted constantly by Alena Hoba. And I also want to step back for a second, because as a trial lawyer, you always want to think about who's doing the cross-examination. You want to think about who's doing the presentation of the witnesses, because there's the gender dynamic that's there. So to that extent, you don't have the Joe Tacopina anymore, right? You have the Alena Hoba. But as you were describing at the beginning of the show, Alena Hoba has been stepping in it all along the way. But for Jean to have to get up and do this again and again and again is one thing. But then for Jean to have to explain that it's not just when I go to court, she tells the jury what happens. She does. It's all day long. It's the death threats. It's the constant. Stops. It's never ending. And so I think the fact that somebody has the courage to go and do this, the death threats. She was also in 2019 on Lawrence O'Donnell and a slew of other media interviews. What is she talking about? She's doing this willingly. She's willingly going on Anderson Cooper, on Lawrence O'Donnell, and talking about what happened between her and Donald Trump, according to her. This woman makes no sense. And as far as Alena Hoba, it's her job to interrupt. Isn't it? As a trial lawyer? You have to take a moment and just realize that this is one of the most difficult days of Jean Carroll's life.
Right. Of all the forms of accountability, it has been a septuagenarian who's actually been able to hold him most accountable.
Well, that is satisfying to see him held accountable for something. But I guess I would ask you, too, as a former trial lawyer, I mean, it does feel to me, and I'm not an attorney, but, you know, while she is going up and telling her story, and Jean Carroll is being exceptionally brave, as many women and really any victim of sexual assault will know, it seems that the former president is continuing to try to intimidate her.
Of course.
In the courtroom, in front of the entire world. And I guess I just wonder what consequences, if any, he may face because of that. I mean, what are we to make of that? You know, as laymen watching this, you just think, is he really going to get away with that as well?
You know, it's funny. Do you notice the narratives here? Everyone uses the same words. Everyone uses the same words. Threatening, bullying, this and that. Didn't Jean Carroll just say the same thing from 2019? It's like, if you're being accused of something, you have a right to say, I didn't do it. That's bullying, that's threatening, that's how? It's called defending your name.
So it's his right to be in court in a criminal or a civil arena. It is your right as a defendant or a litigant in court to be there. The fascinating dynamic was at the very beginning of the day when Jean Carroll walked into court. She went straight to the witness stand. Donald Trump didn't make eye contact with her directly. And I have yet to actually hear from what's been going on in court the fact that he is staring her down in any way. The coward that he is, he's trying to exact the intimidation through the hand motions. And really, the interaction has been the most confrontational with the judge, because obviously he cannot confront Jean Carroll directly in court in that manner. But your question is so well taken.
So hand motions now. Hand motions. That's intimidation. That's threatening. How?
Accountability can be different things. It could be jail time. It could be prison. It could be millions of dollars, as we've seen that's already been, ordered in this case from that first jury. But her lawyers got up and they delivered the question for the jury, which is, how much is it going to take to make him stop? Because as we've seen, he won't. He'll do it, and he's taunting the judge because he wants to be able to get more fodder to be able to go outside and say, yet I am being the victim. I mean, and that's the absurdity of this, that he's claiming to be the victim in this very clear case where a jury has already found him liable for sexual assault. And
wrong. Okay, incompetent. This woman, Katie Fang, is beyond incompetent. How many lies has she stated already? Okay. First of all, here we go again, okay? He was not convicted of. Let me tell you what the jury convicted him of. Sexual abuse. Mr. Trump sexually abused Miss Carroll. The jury said yes, but hold on. Let me explain to you what the definition of sexual abuse was, according to this case and this judge. So Judge Kaplan, okay, instructed the 9 jurors at the trial start that the central claim pertains to battery, right? He said that in a civil case, battery can result from even the slightest unlawful touching of another person. This is what he says. In other words, anything from a gentle but unwanted peck on the cheek to stabbing somebody with a knife could be battery for purpose of a civil case like this one. This is what the judge said. Listen again. Anything from a gentle but unwanted peck on the cheek to a stabbing somebody with a knife. Really?
For defamation.
I mean, Neil, I want you to take a crack at Mara's question, which is there anything that can be done to stop this type of outburst?
Hold on a second. Let me see. She said defamation. I want to see.
Judge, because he wants to be able to get more fodder to be able to go outside and say, yet I am being the victim. I mean, and that's the absurdity of this, that he's claiming to be the victim in this very clear case where a jury has already found him liable for sexual assault and for defamation.
I mean, Neil, I want you to take a...
Actually, defamation, Donald Trump, President Trump, if you're watching ever, you should sue not only MSNBC, but you should sue Katie Fang personally. She is a lawyer. She's a trial attorney. She's making false statements left and right. She's also making statements about a case that involves a dear friend of hers, E. Jean Carroll. Really? When are these people going to be held accountable?
That he's claiming to be the victim in this very clear case where a jury has already found him liable for sexual assault.
First it was rape, now it's sexual assault, when in fact it was neither. Okay, this woman is incompetent. She should be sued. Donald Trump should sue MSNBC and should sue Katie Fang, okay? She is a trial attorney. There is no excuse for this. She knows the rules. She knows the law. Donald Trump was not charged, okay, or convicted of sexual assault, nor was he charged or convicted of. He was convicted of sexual abuse, which we already stated, according to the judge, Judge Kaplan, is, in other words, anything from a gentle but unwanted peck on the cheek to stabbing somebody with a knife. Really? This is the problem with media, okay? This is why you cannot trust the media. This is why Donald Trump has to defend himself, because these people are full of lies. And on top of it, E. Jean Carroll is her friend. She said it herself. A dear friend. But it doesn't color my analysis. Really? You should have said, I'm sorry, I can't speak on this because E. Jean Carroll and I happen to be friends. Okay? That's biased.
And for defamation.
I mean, Neil, I want you to take a crack at Mara's question, which is there anything that can be done to stop this type of outburst?
I do. So first of all, I think Katie's point is a really important one. Last year, Jean Carroll relived this all in the first trial, and there was a jury trial, and they decided that Donald Trump was guilty of sex assault with
not guilty of sex assault. These people lie and lie and lie and lie. He was not guilty of sexual assault. What is this man talking about? Also, what is he talking about? E. Jean Carroll reliving this rape or whatever she's calling it over and over and again when she is writing books, doing this, doing that, showing up on Anderson Cooper in 2019, showing up on Lawrence O'Donnell. What are we talking about? If the woman is so traumatized, why is she appearing on all of these shows to tell her story?
Guilty of defamation and required him to pay $5 million. Now we're having the second trial to decide, is there any way to get this guy to stop with the lies and the defamation of Jean Carroll? And what happened in court today...
What about the defamation of Donald Trump? Are any of them going to be held accountable? Just curious.
Was that when she was testifying, Trump did, what I can only describe as like a bad high school debater's trick, like started talking at the same time as she was testifying, saying that's not true and stuff like that, with the hope that the jury would overhear his insinuations and comments. There's nothing subtle about what Donald Trump was trying to do. He was blatantly trying to influence the jury, trying to provoke the judge into kicking him out of the courtroom. And to answer your question, the judge has that right. You have a right to go to your trial, as Katie says, but not when you misbehave. There's Supreme Court precedent that says at that point, even in a criminal trial, you can get kicked out of your own trial if you are disrespecting the court.
First of all, let's just take this back a notch. If Donald Trump was doing anything at all that would allow the judge to kick him out of the courtroom, believe me, he'd had been kicked out. Okay? Let's just say that. With as much as these people hate Donald Trump, if they could kick him out of the courtroom, they would. And they did not.
That's what Trump's doing here. He's trying to create a circus and a spectacle because the last thing he wants people to talk about is what he did to Jean Carroll. It's much better for him if we're talking about this judge, kicking him out of the courtroom. And by the way, this judge, Lewis Kaplan, one of the very most respected judges in the entire country, obviously a guy who breaks no BS. And, that's obviously a problem for Trump because Trump isn't just trying to intimidate Jean Carroll. He's trying to intimidate the judge.
Here we go again with the intimidation. He's trying to intimidate the judge. He's trying to intimidate the jury. He's trying to intimidate E. Jean Carroll. Really? It's like somebody sends out a wire and gives everyone keywords and slogans and things to say, and they all say the same thing. You ever notice that? This is why no one listens to media anymore. It's ridiculous.
Judge is having none of it.
Well, to your point about the scene, about the skeptical, Katie, there was a moment before E. Jean Carroll testified where there was a very tense exchange between Alena Hoba and Judge Kaplan. Here's how it's described by CNN. Your Honor, clearly we're not going to finish this trial tomorrow, Hoba said. This trial will go into next week. I'm asking Your Honor to have the kindness that my client deserves to be with his family tomorrow and not to have to choose to miss the trial that he has a right to be here for. Kaplan denied the request, asked Hoba to sit down. Trump has the right to be present either in person or by counsel, Kaplan said, and nobody is stopping him from doing either. The application is denied. I will hear no further argument on it. None. Do you understand the word? None. Please sit down. An attempt to postpone this trial had already been rejected. Why try yet again, if not for the spectacle, if not for the scene?
For the client sitting next to her, which is really the only person she's doing this for. It is a foregone conclusion. There will be a multi-million-dollar verdict rendered by the second jury against Donald Trump. It is a foregone conclusion because a jury has already reached a determination that Donald Trump is a person who commits sexual assault.
Here we go again with the lies. Let's back this up. Does this woman, Katie Fang, actually think that the people are this stupid? She's sitting here talking about postponing a trial while the producers, okay, let me scroll it back, are putting up a clip of why President Trump is asking to postpone the trial because his mother-in-law passed away and the trial date is on the day of her funeral. How disgusting can you be? How disgusting of human beings can you actually be? Seriously. The man's wife's mother passed. It's his son's grandmother. And the judge, Kaplan, shame on you. How dare he speak to anybody like that? That is absolutely disgusting. This is what this country has become. It is nuts. You'd think we were in Russia with Putin running everything. This is crazy.
None. Please sit down. An attempt to postpone this trial had already been rejected. Why try yet again, if not for the spectacle, if not for the scene? For the spectacle, the man's mother-in-law passed away. This is his wife. Spectacle. This is what we call a spectacle?
For the client sitting next to her, which is really the only person she's doing this for. It is a foregone conclusion. There will be a multi-million-dollar verdict rendered by the second jury against Donald Trump. It is a foregone conclusion because a jury has already reached a determination that Donald Trump is a person who commits sexual assault on somebody like E. Jean.
Here we go again. Sexual assault. No, he did not. He did not commit sexual assault. You know, this woman, Katie Fang, is a liar. She's extremely deceptive. She goes back and forth sexual. This is how false narratives become truths. You keep repeating lies over and over. Sexual assault, rape. This is what this woman has done. Then they're talking about why they're asking to postpone the trial date because his mother-in-law passed away. She doesn't even mention it. That is deceptive, okay? She is incompetent. Completely incompetent, doesn't know the facts. Clearly, she doesn't know what he was charged with, okay? And she's a liar. That's proven. She should be sued for defamation. All of them should be.
Carroll and defames her. So she, as an Alena Hoba, she's doing a few things. One, she's doing the spectacle for her client, but two, she's also doing it because she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. I am comfortable.
Now that's funny. She's saying Alena Hoba doesn't know what she's doing. Like I said, this is one of the most incompetent lawyers I've ever heard.
In saying that the lack of competency on the part of Alena Hoba is glaringly obvious now. She has shown she does not know how to enter evidence. She has shown that she does not know how to impeach a witness. She does not have the requisite trial skills to be defending the former president of the United States in a multi-million-dollar defamation trial. And yet, you get what you pay for. And that is exactly what is happening to Donald Trump right now. He may like the...
Well, her services must come free if you get what you pay for. I mean, she is the most incompetent, deceptive liar of a trial attorney I've ever heard speak. See, MSNBC, I mean, this is nuts. This is crazy. This is where people are getting their information, lie after lie after lie. This is crazy. All right.
Fact that she is kowtowing to him and to the MAGA out there in public. But at the end of the day, number one, and for what it's worth, I would love to have a camera and audio in the courtroom so people could really see the spectacle that it is. But there are no cameras. There is no audio in that courtroom. So the only thing that's coming out of that courtroom is going to be Trump doing his pressers and Hoba doing her pressers after court, saying what they say, which is always wrong.
Always wrong. First of all, let's think about this for a minute. Do you think that Donald Trump would want cameras and audio in that courtroom? I guarantee you he'd love it. The thing is that they know that this woman, E. Jean Carroll, is a liar. This is why all these cases are closed all the time. There's no different than Epstein's girlfriend. Why was that a closed trial? Why is the public not allowed to hear what all of those people had to say, including her? No different here. And then you put a gag order on President Trump. I've never heard of anything like that. You can't leave the courtroom and speak on what just happened to you? This is nuts.
It is not an accurate relay of what happened in court. And that's a frustrating thing about what happens when there's this perversion of the judicial system.
Right. No. Wow. Perversion of the judicial system. Before we move any forward, I want to read a few tweets by E. Jean Carroll. This is from her personal Twitter, okay? Listen closely. Sex tip I learned from my dog. When in heat, chase the male until he collapses with exhaustion, then jump him. Here's another one. How do you know your unwanted sexual advance is unwanted? Until you've advanced it. Here's another one. Would men have invented chastity belts, veils, and Crocs if women weren't just unbelievably hot? Honey, you were born to seduce. Pretty interesting, right? Let me read another one. There is no such thing as a slut, only sexual geniuses. What can be done about the penis? It gets large when you want it small, and it stays small when you want it large. It's not the most beautiful women, no. It's the woman who makes the least mistakes who seduces the most men. This is E. Jean Carroll speaking on her own social media account. Okay? Pretty interesting, right? I'd say. Now we're going to look at another clip. This is a very interesting find, a little editorial piece that Elle magazine did on E. Jean Carroll. She writes for the magazine. Let's take a look.
People read an advice column because they want to say, oh my God, thank God that's not me.
A second. How do I land my dream job? Can I have sex with my mother-in-law? Interesting. These are questions people ask her, I'm assuming.
I like to stay up late. I like to sleep late.
For those of you who don't know, she is a writer. She has an advice column, okay? Let's continue.
And I like to live like 90 in between. I get up around noon, and I stagger outside out the store, and I throw open my arms, and I thank God I don't have children.
That's actually pretty funny.
Then I go back in, stagger into my office, and start reading a stack of Ask Eugene letters. I never thought much went on in the morning anyway. Women have facials in the morning. They have their hair done. And not me. I like getting up at noon.
She's actually quite comical. Eugene lives on a small island in the... Okay, island of woods.
My personal life is fascinating. I started writing at about the age of 6.5, fed with a daily diet of Ann Landers and Dear Abby. I wanted to be Ann and Abby.
Wow, so she started writing at 6.5 years old. That means she has a natural talent for telling stories. Writing at 6.5? Impressive.
Oh, here, hang on. I have something that explains the Ask Eugene column in a perfect thing. Here I come through here. This is what I've been doing for 25 years. I'm a cheerleader. People get down and depressed and a little confused and they need help. This is what I do. I yell and I scream and I help them get through their difficulties. The secret to the advice column is I don't know anything. It's the people who've been writing to me for 25 years who taught me everything. Those are the people. You can't read a stack of Eugene letters without learning more than reading Shakespeare.
Wow. So the people writing into her advice column taught her everything. That's what she says. So everything with her is sensationalism, stories. Interesting.
You want to see some old Ask Eugene? All these are Ask Eugene, Ask Eugene, Ask Eugene. I have every single letter that's ever been sent to me. I have shopping bags full of actual stationery with letters. This man has...
She has every single letter that's ever been sent to her. I mean, are you looking at this house? First of all, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but this house is nuts. Look at this. I mean, where she's in a mouse house in the woods.
They need help. This is what I do. I yell and I scream and I
look at this place.
Help them get through their difficulties. The secret to the advice column is I don't know anything. It's the people who've been writing to me for 25 years who taught me everything. Those are the people. You can't read a stack of E. Jean letters without learning more than reading Shakespeare. You want to see some old Ask Eugene. All these are Ask Eugene, Ask Eugene, Ask Eugene. I have every single letter that's ever been sent to me. I have shopping bags full of actual stationery with letters. This man has given his wife a $30,000 engagement ring. He wants her to give him a $6,000 watch. Well, she did, but it wasn't enough. Because then he wanted a Rolex. How she's handled this is she's had an affair with somebody at the office. The questions have remained the same. They want love. They want to be a size 6. They want their children to do well. They want to have a purpose in life. They want those same things. And that has never changed. The answer is in their question. You just find out what they want to do, and then you tell them to do it.
The answer is in their question. You find out what they want to do, and then you tell them to do it. Is that what she did to Donald Trump? Does she think she has the answers? I mean, first of all, this woman is living in a gingerbread house. She's living in a gingerbread house at 80 years old. This is nuts. Does anybody else find this a bit strange? Who would believe anything out of this woman's mouth? She's an actress for a living. She's a writer for a living. She sensationalizes for a living since she was 6.5 years old. This is crazy.
I am so tormented and confused by my obsession with my ex-boyfriend from college. Here's the last line. It's been 22 years since we broke up. I understand you. She and I have a lot in common. Oh, we do not want to look at our emails.
I'm flabbergasted.
That was a bad idea. Oh. I worry so much about the people who write in. I am so real. See these eyes? Look at the bags under my eyes. I worry at night when I'm in bed because, you know, a line from me can change their life. Now, whether...
Wow. That is a God complex right there. I worry about all these people writing into me. She just said, a line from me can change a life. Wow. Kind of like Donald Trump's, right?
Whether it changes for the better or for the worse, I don't know.
Wait a minute. Oh my God, I cut it off too soon. She just said for the better or for the worse. Hold on.
Bags under my eyes. I worry at night when I'm in bed because, you know, a line from me can change their life. Now, whether it changes for the better or for the worse, I don't know.
That is crazy. A line from me can change a life. Whether it's for the better or the worse, I don't know. Wow. So first of all, let's just back this up. This woman is on a quest for fame. Because let's do the math. The days of, you know, people, you know, writing to the newspaper, you know, columnist, Dear Abby is a very old one. No one even knows who that is. Those are done. Those days are over. You're not getting famous as an advice columnist. And let's do another piece of math. Anyone writing into a newspaper or a magazine to a advice columnist is already not in their right mind. Let's think about this for a second. And clearly neither is she. I wonder if the jury saw this. This is nuts.
As you see, I have stacks the bills here and there and everywhere. I get sent one every month. Sometimes, if I'm very good, they send me two. I could not answer the questions coming into the Ask Eugene column if I was in New York City. You can't think in New York if you're dating 16 people, which I would be doing if I were in New York.
You can't think in New York if you were dating 16 people, which she would be doing if she were in New York. Oh, that's right. But what did she say? There is no such thing as a slut, only sexual geniuses. There you go. There you go.
You go to the woods to find out who you are, and then you find out who you are, and you're even happier than when you came. It's wonderful.
This woman is living in a gingerbread house in the woods alone. Does anybody not see the insanity here? Hello? This is crazy.
I call it the mouse house because some very distinguished mice live here. Kahneman lives in the kitchen. Tversky lives in the bedroom. This is my shed. And on that side are the books that most influenced me growing up. On the door are the list of my dogs. Marky, Fortuna de la Spunky, Heidi, Tits, Bloody, and...
Tits. Tits. That's what she just said. The name of one of her pets. Tits. This is a woman who was raped.
Hepburn. The streams and the rivers were dry, and it so horrified me that I came out and started painting the rocks blue to indicate that there was once a river here. And then after I got done painting the rocks, I just sort of walked over here and then did that tree and then did that tree and then I did this tree. And then pretty soon I'd done this whole forest.
This woman is painting rocks and trees that surround the gingerbread house she resides in. Does anybody see something wrong with this picture? This woman is painting trees. Okay, first of all, you don't paint trees, okay? I am not a green person, but I know that you don't paint trees because the little holes in the trees, if you cover it with paint, it prevents the exchange of oxygen.
Ox blue to indicate that there was once a river here. And then after I got done painting the rocks, I just sort of walked over here and then did that tree and then did that tree and then I did this tree. And then pretty soon I'd done this whole forest.
She painted all these trees. This is someone in their sane mind. You painted a forest and you're living in a gingerbread house at 80 years old. This is nuts.
I'd done this whole forest. Oh my God! What's the best piece of advice I've ever given? What a horrible question to ask an advice column. Oh my God! Hang on. Eat, drink.
There you go.
And be merry. That's it. That's my advice.
E. Jean King, eat, drink, and be merry, and there is no such thing as a slut, only a sexual genius. Really? This is not believable by any means, okay? I don't know how a jury could convict Donald Trump of a peck on the cheek, an unwanted peck on the cheek. Let's just one more time reiterate what the definition of sexual abuse that they convicted him of, according to Judge Kaplan, is. Do not let this leave your mind. This is the judge. In other words, anything from a gentle but unwanted peck on the cheek to stabbing somebody with a knife could be battery for purposes of a civil case like this one, Kaplan said. This is insane. This is absolutely nuts. It's almost as crazy as the gingerbread lady living in the gingerbread house, painting trees in a forest that she resides in. Pray for Trump. He needs the prayers. I hope you guys liked this reaction. I'm Dubrava. See you next time.